Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode, I believe it was 11. Again, as I always say when I'm not sure, it should be right in the titles and pictures and all that stuff. So, I thought this was another okay episode. It basically setting up an arc which was one of the things I knew about from the leaks. Not the leaks, but the international spoilers, I guess. I usually follow those closer, but I just didn't care as much this time around, so I only got a few tidbits like the burger and then this fake brothers storyline. So I kind of knew about this, and I mentioned it a little bit in passing in the last few reviews, but this episode was about Brody's brother showing up at the end of the last week's episode, and it is kind of annoying and like bothersome that not only did Brody instantly believe him last week, but pretty much everybody believed him this week without very little proof outside of him basically just giving them the recap, which we see, at the beginning of every episode. So he could have just been watching Ninja Steel. But it was also, speaking of that, it was also kind of annoying that, well, first of all, I'm like way backtracking myself, getting in my own way. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Like, we had a different recap this week. It was just slightly adjusted that was done by Brody instead of the narration guy, which it was pretty much the same stuff with some little differences, but I just found it weird that considering we have that same recap every episode, regardless of who does it, that Brody's like retelling of events was like the same thing. So it was kind of annoying because we're basically getting the same recap one right after the other. But also, the story he told really didn't give us any new information because it was all stuff that Brody was there for. So Brody's like, oh yeah, so that's what happened. I'm like, yeah, dude, you were there. Like, you were closer to the action. So I thought that was kind of weird. But like, this guy is just so obviously untrustworthy. Like, regardless of what I would know or didn't know because of spoilers, it would be kind of nice if they played it a little bit more, like, just so it was harder to tell, if he was a good guy or a bad guy. Like, he just seems so slimy. He's like the drug dealer that tries to sell you drugs in the alley, but then gives you lettuce. Like, he's just so slimy and, like, just, for me at least, obviously not good. And he's like, of course, guys, we have to give them the Power Stars and then surrender the Earth. What was that last one? Nothing. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just so obvious that he's not really Aiden. I like that Mick had enough, like, forethought to think, hey, let's not let him in the base. And I'm glad. I honestly thought when Mick said that, Brody was going to be like, he's my brother, why shouldn't we let him in? And then he'd be like, oh, okay, let's let him in. So at least for right now, Mick was smart enough to put the kibosh on that. Unless, was he in the base when Brody was sick? I don't think he was, but at least at the beginning. And so the plot was Brody was sick, and they were like, give us the Ninja Stars or we won't cure him. And then I like how Haley and Aiden just were having none of it. Like, they're like, we'll use fake ones. No, then we'll be tricked. And they're like, all right, you're right. But, let's just do this anyway. And they used the episode's weird chocolate sculpture plot for the fake ones, which, I don't know, like, they didn't really need that plot. They could have easily thought of a million different ways to come up with fake Power Stars, especially since they have, like, in this episode they did the, the scarecrow technique. They have all kinds of stuff like that. It's like it could have just been a ninja technique of like, oh, the fake out, and they end up being scarecrows or something. I don't know. But my point is they didn't need that weird chocolate sculpture plot for that to work for me. But I thought it was at least smart on their part, and it sort of derailed fake, what's his name's plans. Did I call Levi Aiden? Well, I guess it's right. But yeah, fake Aiden's plan. So that kind of worked out. But I was also surprised he wasn't found out in this episode. Like I said, I didn't follow everything to the letter with the spoilers, so I didn't know, like, oh, this happens this episode, this happens this episode. I just kind of knew this dude's fake, it's really Levi. So I just assumed it would be outed at the end of this episode. And I wasn't sure if Levi was going to be outed as his actual brother at the end of this episode, but I was pretty certain that fake Aiden would be. I mean, he was outed to the audience at the very end, but he wasn't outed to the Rangers. Because, like, we saw him with, QAmon, whose name I'm forgetting in the US. But, yeah, so that was a thing. But that was pretty much it. Like I said, I don't want to comment on the worst characters in the show too often. But I thought it was pretty decent, at least. Like, it was pretty average, but I liked that there was at least a little bit of an arc going on. And I like that it wasn't quickly resolved within one episode. Like, I could very easily have seen them outing him and then revealing Levi was really Aiden at the end. and then that leads to next week, but at least we got a couple things going. They'll probably, or they might wrap it up next week. Again, I should probably just look at the spoilers since I know anyway, but at least they didn't wrap it all up in one episode, and it was, like I said, there's at least something going on. And yeah, this episode, and it had less cringe-worthy dialogue than last week, I thought. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I actually like arrived at most of my points a lot quicker than usual. Oh, also, I wanted to bring this up because I've been meaning to bring this up for a couple weeks. I don't know why our American Gold Ranger suits are so pale. Like, this one isn't quite the urine-colored one that Kyoryu Gold's was, but I hate how pale our Gold Ranger suit in comparison to Star Ninja's. Mainly because our footage usually looks crisper, so it's annoying to have this crisper footage with this really pale looking, it looks like, you know, like a Dijon mustard colored suit instead of, it's like a step up from P, but it's still not gold. It's like P, Dijon, gold. It's a weird thing. Anyway, I wanted to mention that because I kept forgetting to mention it. Unless I did and I just forgot it. But anyway, I thought this was an overall average episode. I'd probably give it a 7. Yeah, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Awesome Rider, signing out.